Hey everyone, post-production Grant here, coming in before we start the episode. I just wanted to let you know that the audio quality is a little bit off this week in the episode because of a little mistake that I made on my end. We all learn and we all grow. The content is still amazing. I hope you enjoy this week's podcast and look forward to crispy audio next week. Love you guys. Hey team, this is Grant David Collins and welcome to Basement Philanthropy, a place for people who do not want to wait until they are rich or retired to create meaning, connection, and impact with their money, regardless of the amount. On this episode, we're going to be finishing up the Money Plus series with part 3, talking about your talents. So let's get started. The Money Plus series has been a game changer for me. Like, there's been so many things that I have personally learned about myself, about these 3 distinct areas that we've talked about. We've talked about your voice, we've talked about your time, and today we're going to be talking about your talents. And I love the Basement Philanthropy format because not only do you all get to hear about what is happening on this side of the desk, but I get to learn so much as I do the research and as I put together the outlines for this podcast. And this last 3 weeks has just been amazing that way. So I hope that it's been the same way for you on your end. As we look to jump into talking about your talents, I feel like there's an important distinction that we need to make here, because time and talents is probably a bit of a Venn diagram in terms of a lot of the same things that we talked about last week could be said for you using your talents to be involved with your community or causes that you care about. But there are some really clear distinctions that I want to make in this episode. And so take everything that you learned last week and superimpose it on top of your talents, and you'll get a lot of really good information. And we're going to be digging into part of it that we didn't do last week that talks specifically about talents in our discussion today. So I just can't wait to jump into it. So what are we waiting for, Grant? Let's get into this. When I think about the way that I view the difference between just volunteering your time and volunteering your talents, I immediately think of specific things that volunteer organizations need. So when we normally think about volunteering, it's in things like when a food pantry needs help to do a specific task, like filling up boxes for people that need them. Or if we volunteer at a mill that needs some help packing pasta, for example, that's something that you can do here in the state of Utah. You go, you show up, you take the pasta that has been packaged, you put it in boxes, like very specific tasks that are happening. Or even my example from last week, when I show up and volunteer with the dog group based out of Salt Lake City, I'm fulfilling a specific need that they need. When I think about talents, these are things that so many organizations and causes need, but are things that they end up needing to pay for because most people volunteering are just looking for a specific task that they come in and fulfill and get out. So this can be split into 2 areas in itself. So the first one are hard skills. So are you an accountant, or are you somebody that works in media or in marketing or in human resources or any other types of hard skills that you go to school for? Or even if you don't even go to school for them, it doesn't matter. If it's a hard skill, you could likely get involved with helping organizations. So that is one area that your talents can get involved. The other area are the soft skill sides of the coin. So things like, are you a good listener? Or are you somebody that can organize really well? Or do you have a following that you could bring along with you, or friends, close friends that would be willing to help? So these talents are things that you can take to organizations and help them out with. And they need them. Like, don't don't fudge yourself around this point. We are just beat over the head since we are young and getting into the professional world that we have to charge for our services. But if time is money and talents are money, then you getting involved with these organizations with your time and talents is in effect giving your money. So, what I would say from the very beginning is see yourself as somebody that can make an impact outside of the domain of people putting you or pointing you in a direction that they need the help. These types of people and organizations need it in all different areas. And if you can save them money, it's more money that they can then put into their bottom line impact. Now, there is a bit of a tricky situation that you fall into when you start to get involved with these types of things, though, because organizations and causes and these communities need so much help that sometimes it can feel a little bit like a swimmer who is drowning. Like you reach out and you're like, hey, let me help you get your accounting into a place where it should be. And you come in, you do a couple hours of accounting, and you don't set boundaries. And all of a sudden, you're getting called every other day by an organization or a couple organizations that you've helped like this, and they're asking you questions. And that's good. Like it's not a bad thing, but maybe it's more than what you bargained for or whatever it might be. So there is a way that you can do this without getting caught in that trap, because I feel like that is what prevents a lot of people from doing this type of work, is that they're afraid that they're going to be overtaxed by organizations or different causes. So the way that you can approach this so that it is healthy and it works for you is to basically draw up a proposal for one of these groups or organizations in your community or in the area of influence that you want to be a part of, and say, hey, I am a person that is in human resources, and I would love to be involved with putting a handbook together for you. And this is usually what that looks like for me. I usually spend about 20 hours going back and forth and helping you with different state regulations or whatever might be contained within that handbook. And then I'm going to do a review in it, and I'll have my lawyer do a review on it. And then we can implement that into your organization. And that's what we will call our deal. And I won't be able to support you moving forward, but I would love to help you put something like that in place. And maybe as you go about putting it in place, you do see an opportunity to serve them more or to get on their board to be able to provide that. But not starting out that way, or starting out with clear, distinctive agreements around what's going to happen, can just clean up so many expectations that could fall into place and can save you and the organization from the weird back and forth that sometimes happens here. So you could do that with any type of skill set, both hard skill sets and soft skill sets. And even with your time, like you can approach an organization and say, hey, I've got 4 hours a week that I want to do something with. On Mondays and Wednesdays from 2 to 4, I'm available. How could I help? Is there any way that I could get involved with what you're doing? And that allows them to see their needs and say, man, yeah, absolutely. We could use your help like this. Does that work for you? And you're just creating these amazing, amazing opportunities without either party overstepping too much. And this doesn't actually even have to be official organizations. We talk a lot about those on this program, but man, there are so many opportunities that you can be involved with on your side of the coin without getting involved with an organization that will help lift the people around you. Just as an example, I get involved with a lot of people when it comes to career coaching. So I've been in the human resource people operations space for about 4 years now. And even before then, I was involved with people working through the questions that come up as they move through their careers. And I just love that space. Like, you want to talk about career, like reach out to me. That is an absolute invitation to anybody that is listening to this podcast or watching on YouTube. If you need a backstop for your career, like reach out to me, Grant at basementphilanthropy.com, or DM me on social media, because I would love to be involved with that. And so what I do for my skill set is I am able to sit with people and help them think about their career in maybe a way that they haven't thought about it before, or in a safe space where they don't feel like they'll be judged, or their company might think that they're going to move, or like there's so many things that come up for people, and that's why they don't talk about their careers. And so what I've done is I've just put myself out there, like, this is a talent I have. I'm really skilled in this area and I want to help people. And so I take every opportunity that I can to be involved with people in this way. And you can too with your skill sets. Like, there are so many people around you that need what you have to offer. I just promise you that that is the case. So as we move into how you can combine money and talents together to create something greater, I want to focus specifically on one area. And like I was saying at the beginning of this episode, there are so many ways that this overlaps with your time. So think about those 4 things that I shared last time. Your talents can fall into most of those areas as well. The place that I want to focus on specifically here is your investment of your personal money in developing your talents. Now, this might catch you a little bit off guard. And as I was thinking through this and viewing my own experience, I had to be around it for a little bit myself. But basically, what I'm suggesting here is that you look at your world and think about the talents that you do have to offer to different organizations or your community. And you look at those talents and where they could be upgraded or developed in a greater way. And you invest your money that you would have put maybe into donating somewhere, or, buying some food for a local food bank. You take some of that money and you invest it in the development of your talents with the intention of giving back. Like, you can think about this a little bit like how the military structures some of their schooling, is that they pay for people's schooling, and in return, they get, 3 years of service or 4 years of service, or whatever that contract looks like. You can think of this in a similar way, to where, hey, I'm going to use this money as a bit of a loan to myself to be able to improve my talents in this certain area. And then I am going to reinvest myself in helping provide that donation of time, energy, money, talents to these communities that I love and I want to be involved with. And it's okay if it bleeds over into professional success. Way too often, we try and segment professional success and philanthropy success or giving success. We don't need to do that. We don't need to put a barrier up. We can absolutely invest in our talents and have that help us be a better person in our profession, so we can make more money and then we can donate more because we have more. Like, we don't need to make a distinction there. You can definitely profit from this type of approach. And if you are doing it with that in mind, as far as I want to use this to give, I believe a meaning will come into that development that you have never experienced before, if you were just doing something to develop it for you getting ahead in your career. One of the areas that I have seen this, and you are experiencing it right now, is with basement philanthropy. As you may have noticed, as you have followed me or as you've gotten involved with what I am doing here, there are a lot of things that I am learning and developing on this side over here. So I have to, with this podcast, I have to know a lot about cameras and different ways of working and lighting cameras. I have to know about audio and editing audio and making sure that I'm capturing the right audio. I have to know about social media and trends that are going on and organization. Like there are so many things that I am developing here at Basement Philanthropy that also crosses over into what I do professionally from my quote unquote 9 to 5. And that has been one of the most fulfilling parts about this entire project is I can see myself as I invest money. Now, all the money that I am putting into this philanthropy space goes to organizations or the community. There's a large chunk, at least initially, that goes to standing this organization up. And it is absolutely worth that investment. Now that's a pretty specific example. You could look at it from the standpoint of, let's pretend that you are a graphic designer and you want to learn a different piece of software. So you find a course that you can take online and you decide to pay for that. And as part of you getting involved with that, you are thinking, oh, I could get involved with this charity by doing the work in this area. Or maybe you're a software engineer and you want to learn a new language. Use some of your money, go out and learn a new language, and then look for a way that you could get involved with helping people, fix a website that they have for their nonprofit, or get involved with helping their payments come through, or like whatever it is that you could do with that talent. Use your money to invest in your talents that then makes you a greater asset to this community or causes that you believe in, and then go out and use those talents specifically to make a difference. There are so many ways that you can get involved with this space, and I hope that that's what you have gotten out of this series. Like, we're talking about your time, your talents, and your voice. If there is anybody on the other side of this conversation that doesn't see where one of those things could make a huge difference, I don't know what to say. I'm speechless. Like I literally do not know what to say. And that's okay. Like if you're there, but reach out to me so we can be around that in a way that you can see yourself as making impact there. And my hope is that what you've actually experienced is you have experienced the doors opening for you to be able to get involved with making change in this world. You are so needed. You matter so much in this equation. And as you come to discover that, you will experience life in a different color. It'll be like you putting on a new pair of glasses for the first time. You'll be able to see clearly why you're doing what you're doing and what the future could look like if you stay committed to being involved with creating a world that looks outside of themselves to something greater. Well, team, that's it for me. Let's go out in the world and create good with the money in our pockets and the talents that all of us have to give to this world together. Talk soon.